Hello, and welcome back to the Growth Game podcast. Today's guest is me, and today I'm going to be answering some questions and giving some answers on a variety of subjects from the FAQs. Expect to learn why I moved to Malaysia, why finance, my tips for fitness and productivity, and why I'm still single. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the episode. So, the first question is one from Melanie Daler, and she asks, what country would you work remotely in for 6 months if living expenses were paid? I think right now I have just moved to Malaysia, just building a career here, and I don't think there's anywhere else that I'd rather be right now. But if we're talking about it in a vacuum where it's not going to be taking a step back or a pause from my career, I think I've always wanted to go check out the Middle East and go live in a place like Dubai for 6 months. And obviously, cost of living over there is pretty extortionate. So having all expenses paid for 6 months could be a big plus. This one's from Charlie Sunshine 28. How do you keep yourself centered and focused when stressed? It's a good question. I'm probably the wrong person to be giving advice on this one because I also often let stress get the better of me. One thing when it's prolonged periods that I tell myself is this too shall pass. And I can't remember who came out with that quote, but it's something that I tell myself when things are going ridiculously well and when things are going ridiculously badly. They're never going to stay good forever and they're never going to stay bad forever. And it's just those ups and downs that give contrast and give you a warm, fulfilling life, right? So I guess that's something that I tell myself when things are going bad. This one is from Alex061. Can you tell me more about fasting? How do you do it? Why? Thank you. So it's important to differentiate between fasting and just intermittent fasting, although I guess fasting is always going to be intermittent because if it wasn't, then you'd die. But on intermittent fasting, it's really for me about just narrowing the eating window. So I need quite a lot of food just to maintain size. And so when I'm trying to cut weight, I get ridiculously hungry if I'm trying to eat in a deficit. So intermittent fasting for me is I'll have 16 hours where I don't eat. And usually the period that I do eat will be around 8 hours. And that's from midday until 8 p.m. The thinking behind it is then you're just hungry for that morning period while you're not eating and waiting to break your fast. And then once you've broken it, because you're condensing your whole day's worth of food into 8 hours, you'll feel more nourished and satiated for that period and can then avoid it. Whereas I find if I wake up, I have my breakfast at 8 a.m. and my last meal is at 8 p.m., I'm just not eating enough through the whole day and I spend the whole day hungry rather than just the morning being intensely hungry. So I find it easier to manage that way. From Rachiv.jpg, any workout playlist? So I've been told I'm a bit of a psychopath for this, but I actually listen to podcasts in the gym, unless it's going to be a pretty grueling leg day, then I might stick on something a bit more motivational. But yeah, for the most part, I like just getting in the gym, sticking my headphones on and listening to something good and informational for an hour or two. This one is from Mika Batty _. If you could take your brain out of your body and give it a wash, would you use cold or warm water? I think you have to go warm. I think the idea of putting your brain in cold water would be pretty painful. This one is from Yawns, says opinion about Jiria. So good to get this one out of the way every episode as it crops up every time. But Jiria and I are just really, really close friends. When I moved to Malaysia, I didn't know anyone here. And her and I just clicked pretty quickly. And obviously the intense journey that we've been going on through the social media thing has brought us close together as well. So yeah, as she likes to say, we're bros and definitely like brother and sister vibes there as well. And this one is from I Take Therefore I Am. And it says, hold on, I just stalked your LinkedIn and you're telling me you could potentially be 24 years old. I'm not. I've just turned 30. I just went to university quite late, spent 7 years backpacking and traveling around the world. And I had a quarter-life crisis at around 25 and realized I just wasn't on the trajectory of life that I thought I was going to be on. I always thought I was going to get rich. I just never had a plan of how to get there. And I found out in my mid-20s that the world wasn't going to hand it to me. So I stopped traveling. I went back to university and I got a degree, did a fast track. So I condensed 3 years into 2 because I felt like I was playing catch up. Got that out of the way and then jumped straight into the world of finance. This one is from Teacher Goncalves, and it says, how does a successful man like you stay single? I think it's quite interesting the way that you've worded that, because I think the two are kind of intertwined. I think I've got a bit of an obsessive personality, and being so driven, focused on my career at this stage, and again, feeling like I'm playing catch up on the world after dossing around the world for 7 years, it means that it's quite hard for me to give a partner like the attention that they deserve. And say my last relationship, on paper, literally perfect. But then I was kind of riddled with guilt that wasn't giving her the attention she deserved. And she'd say, like, you wake up in the morning, straight on the phone, answering your emails, then come home at night. And yeah, I think for me, it's hard to prioritize anything else whilst I'm so obsessed with this. But it is something that I will work on in future once I've achieved the career goals that I'm looking to do. This one is from Coralie567. It says, why did you decide to go for this career? It's a good question, and I don't have a great answer for it. I think I knew that I wanted to get into something that, first of all, aligned with my likes and my tastes, and I love giving advice. I love talking to people. Mathematics has always been my strongest subject, and it seemed to lead me towards this path. And also I was looking for something that, I could earn a decent living from as well, because I felt like I had expectations of where I would be in life and I needed a career path to get me there. So I just did some research, and at the time I wasn't sure that this was the right thing, but I don't think you're ever sure that it's the right thing until you've done it. Opportunities only look like opportunities in hindsight. At the time, they seem like risks. And, I left university, I then quit a job, and I put myself through all the qualifications to try and make this work. And in hindsight, it was a great opportunity. At the time, well, I could be going completely down the wrong path here, but it was a risk I took, and it was the right one. This one is from Mr. Mike. He says, would you get a buzz cut? And I was one of those that did it to myself in lockdown. I shaved my head, and I do not have the head shape for it. Whatever head shape it is that you need to look good bald is not one that I was blessed with. So I will try and avoid that for as long as possible. And I will hope that my genetics will keep hair on my head for the foreseeable. I think I'm going to lose a lot of followers. This one's from Bridget Morm. It says, what qualifications do you have to advise in KL? I'm not sure what the minimum is that you need in KL. For me, I am US qualified and UK qualified at level 4. And that is the bare minimum you need to advise in the UK. And most respectable companies out here will require you to have that as well. If they don't, then I would just be a little bit wary of, the company. This one is from Mark Kilcullen. He's asked me what my favorite book is. I think the one that's made the biggest difference to my life is called The Chimp Brain Paradox, or The Chimp Paradox, by Steve Peters. I read it around 12 years ago when I was 18, and it really helped me understand how my brain works and helps me remove myself from my emotions and deal with things more rationally. The premise of the book is that you have two brains. One is your cognitive and your competent brain, and the other one is the primal instinct in there that would react with anger or jealousy and things like that, and is learning to observe those and deal with them in a more cerebral manner. Sim for Jenny says, what did you study and where? So I studied business management, and I did it at the University of Plymouth in the UK, but I got kind of lucky that COVID hit just as I was starting my degree. So I think 4 months into the course, everything locked down and went remote. And so I moved and I went and lived in the Canary Islands and did my degree remotely online. This one is from Nabila. She says, I wish I could smile like you all the time. What keeps you so positive? I don't actually think I'm that positive of a person. I don't think I'm negative, but I don't think I'm one of these people that is always happy, right? I think this is a great example of take what you see on social media with a pinch of salt. I think when I know I've got a camera in my face, then best impressions always, and it's usually at a fun time as well. Like it'd be me and Julian messing around in the office, and that's just the time that keeps me happy. But yeah, I go through the motions of emotions all the time as well. This one was from Abdullah 54. saying, "Why can't you say good girl?" This one, this one was probably the most testing part of this whole social media thing for me so far. And I think I've been just unsure of how much I could lean into this, how much I wanted to lean into this. And being objectified, I don't have a problem with it. But then how much did I want to play up to it, you know? And where do I draw the line if I start saying, potentially sexual phrases? And also for me, like my priority is still my financial career. And it's important that I retain my integrity and sincerity. And, my clients don't see the stuff that I'm doing on the side and then take me less seriously because of it. I did cave on this one in the end because I thought, if we do something for charity, one, I would feel good and happy to do it. And two, it also makes it a bit more relatable for people that maybe don't understand just the whole TikTok thing in general, if I'm just doing it to raise money for charity. So I did say it in the end, and I said it so awkwardly. And I remember when we were going to put it out, I was terrified because I listened back to it and I thought, oh God, that's terrible. And we put it out and got quite a bit of negative feedback for it as well. So that was my first sort of experience dealing with, I wouldn't say hate, but some ridicule online. And so that was real testing for me. But we did retake it and took lemons and made lemonade, so to speak. And at the end of the day, I don't regret it. We raised, I think it was close to $6,000 for a stray animal charity. And it was a really good learning experience for me. I think it's helped me make my thin skin thicker. And as Juria says, roll with the punches. And that was definitely my first couple of hooks that I had to take and roll with. This one is from Ella K15325. Why did you start filming videos? I didn't. Juria did. She started just filming slyly in the office, and she did check that it was okay, but I didn't really understand the concept. She said, "Can I post you on TikTok?" And I thought what she meant was she would have her own TikTok and just feature me on it. I was like, yeah, do what you want, and wasn't too fussed about it. And then she showed me after posting maybe the second video, she's like, look at this, and realized she'd made me my own account, and like loads of people commenting. I was like, what on earth is going on? And to be honest, I think maybe I'm a bit older than my actual age says I am, but I really don't get it at all. I'm starting to, maybe understand a bit more about social media these days, but I never really used it myself, and I didn't understand why anyone would find it interesting. But since we've had such positive feedback in general, we started leaning more into it. And for me, again, about the name of this podcast, it's a journey on growth. It's getting more comfortable with myself. I do see the positives that this can bring. If it gives me outreach to help more people financially, help more people with their own growth journeys, then that would be incredible. So I'm leaning into it. And yeah, a little bit scared of failure with it, especially when, you're posting it online and leaning into it so hard, but we'll see where it leads. This one is from Chloe.mech. Tips on how to invest with an average salary. Too vague for me to go giving specific answers. And one thing that I want to clarify on the financial front as well is it's very hard to give good advice to multiple people, because advice and financial planning should be bespoke to every person. And there's no way that I could just give you all a piece of advice and it would be the right thing for all of you. It would probably lead some of you to disaster, and some of you would just be suboptimal. So yeah, I will always happily give people feedback one-on-one, and there's a financial advice request form on my link tree for anyone that wants to run some questions by me, and hopefully I can help some people there. But I won't ever be giving generic financial planning advice to the masses, because again, I just want to make sure that it's right for everyone. This one is from N. Gomez. What tips can you give for someone who wants to invest or build a portfolio? Pretty much the same answer as the last time, is to speak to a financial advisor first, especially in these days. Most advisors will give you an initial consultation before charging you anything. So look up a financial planner local to you who's got a good reputation in your local area and have a chat with them about what you should be doing. So this one is from Andrews Daniel 95. Why the move to Malaysia? Do you miss the UK? So I miss certain people in the UK and maybe a couple of small things, but overall, I'm glad I've moved away. And since I was 18, I've lived most of my life traveling and living in other countries. So I don't see myself living in the UK long term. When I moved to Malaysia, I was looking to move out of the UK and start building my own client bank. And the place that seemed most lucrative to do that was Dubai. But I also think it's quite a cutthroat industry out there. It's oversaturated. I think my industry has a bit of a bad reputation out there due to some cowboys operating there for the last few decades. And the cost of living is extremely high as well. So it all just seemed a bit like it would be a trial by fire. And so I was looking at where else. And so I started looking at Malaysia, and I spoke to a company that seemed to be everything that I wanted it to be, aligned with my own morals. And Malaysia, it has a good cost of living. It has a good style of life. It is a good mix of Western and Eastern culture. So you get the perks of living in Asia, also with the creature comforts of some Westernized culture as well. So it just seemed like the perfect place for me. This one is from Bog Sunger Bubbles. Would you ever consider a long distance relationship with the intention of eventually overcoming the distance? I don't think so. I think the reason being is I've tried long distance before, and I think it's a painful thing that you endure with, as you say, the mind to overcoming it in the future. And right now, I am working crazy hours on my main job. I'm also putting in a lot of effort into this podcast and TikTok with Juria as well. So I have so much on that I struggle to even allocate time to my current group of friends, let alone take on someone who'd then be depending on me for, emotional needs as well. So I would try and avoid a long distance relationship at all means possible. This one is from Ali, and it says, in your group of friends, what role do you play? This is a really good question. And I think I don't have one group of friends that I hang out with all the time. I have various different friends in different social circles. And this highlights that the role you play depends on who you're with, right? For example, in my last company in the UK, I was one of the more senior members of staff there. And so I was in a position of more power and offering guidance and support to people around me. Whereas I moved over to this part of the world and I've been learning a lot of new things. I'm surrounded by people more experienced than me. So I'm now, in a more junior mindset. And that's not just in the professional sense, but it also dictates how you interact with these people outside of work as well, because the professional hierarchy also translates into the social hierarchy. I think with some friends that I keep as well, then I'm more of a mentor. With some friends I keep, I'm more of a little brother. It depends on who you're with and the life experience of the balance of the social circles that you're in as well, right? Yeah, good question. This one is from Megs Reese. What kinds of podcasts do you listen to? So mostly informative. Things that I find really interesting are science, maths, finance, and also current world issues. And so some of these things that I like are Andrew Huberman. He does the Huberman Lab podcast. Chris Willex, he does Modern Wisdom, and it covers a load of things. I quite like Personal Best by Ruby Lola, and that one I'm enjoying because she's sort of at the start of her journey as well, but doing a great job. So it's kind of inspirational for me going to start. I think she's a load younger than me as well, so I find her quite inspirational. And Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett, jump in and out of that one as well. Oh, and Alex Hormozy, The Game. He has got one of the most crazy work ethics of anyone in the world, to the point where even I think it's a bit unhealthy. But there's so much that I take from that has helped me with my career as well. This one is from Fur Sauce Doll. Te gusta la comida mexicana, which I am not fluent in Spanish, but I think I can translate that to, do you like Mexican food? And I think it's probably my favorite cuisine at the moment because it's delicious and nutritious, as they say. So you can get burritos, nice and healthy, hit all the macros, and taste absolutely delicious. So that's probably the thing I eat most of at the moment. From K Sosa S. What inspires you in life? This is a really good question. I think growth is the biggest thing, just wanting to get better. I'm well aware that I have these goals in mind of where I want my final destination to be. But I know once I've reached there, I'll look back at this period of my life where I'm just starting out, forging my career and building myself up, that this is going to be the part that I look back on. And I just trade everything to be back here again, 30 years old in good health, just starting out on my success. So I think I have my own targets and I have people that I look up to. Jordan Peterson, I find very inspirational. Again, Alex Hormozy as well. But for me, I want to achieve financial independence. And then I have some other goals as well, which maybe I'll share in the future. This one is from Jacinta.p. Are you happy? Good question. I think happiness is a moving target and it's not something that is attainable constantly. You have periods of your life where you might feel less happy and periods of your life where you might feel more happy. But if you were happy all the time, then it would become the new base level because of hedonistic adaptation. And you wouldn't be happy. It would just be base normal and you'd have to be exhilarated to feel happy. So it's really important to have these ups and downs, and everything that I'm doing in my life is giving me a really healthy balance of that. And situationally, I'm happy with the path that I'm on. Good question. From Zaratak, Rex for beginners in weightlifting. So the first thing I would say on this, if you're starting off in weightlifting, the habits that you build at the beginning are going to be the habits that you have for the rest of your career of lifting. So I would recommend that you either train with a friend who knows what they're doing, work with a personal trainer, or if that's not something that you can afford, then just study on YouTube and make sure you're getting the form right. Film yourself and check it against the form that you're checking on YouTube, and check out the right kind of people on YouTube as well. You want to make sure, because there are a lot of people out there, again, that are just cowboys, don't really know what they're doing, producing stuff because it's interesting content. I would highly recommend Jeff Nippard to male or female lifters. He produces content that is full of science-backed evidence on why you should train in certain ways, and highly recommend checking out him. But yeah, get help. Don't try and do it on your own. You don't want to be one of those people in the gym that just doesn't know what every machine is for and just starts throwing it around, because you will hurt yourself and you will be judged. This one again from Zaratak, Triumph or BMW? BMW, love the cars and the bikes. From Anthony Quo, hair products. Nothing, man. I just wet it in the shower. I then dry it sometimes, depending on how long it is and how curly it's going to go if I don't. And then I stick a cap on for the first 20 minutes of the day. I find hat hair actually helps me. Keeping a hat on for 20 minutes on the walk into work, take it off, and then, yeah, that's it for the rest of the day. This one is from Ski Mandy 26. Do your clients have to live in certain countries? Yes and no. So I have a network of advisors and contacts that will be able to help people wherever they are. For me to take on certain clients, then yes, there are certain countries they can't live in. And they're countries that require their advisors to be on the ground in those countries. So like Australia, I can't advise clients that are in Australia, but I have great connections of people that can. So I can help anyone anywhere, but to take them on as clients, then yes, there is, I think, 6 countries that I can't do. From M Hailstorm, what hobbies do you have outside of the gym and reluctantly being well known? Good question. At the moment, I am playing a little bit of paddle every now and again, finding that quite fun. I'm terrible at it, but I'm working on it and enjoying it. And apart from that, listening to podcasts, love food. I don't know, that's such a boring answer because everyone loves food. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not doing a whole lot. I don't have time for a whole lot outside of the gym, podcasts, and work. From Suzanne Angeline, 24. Why do you suck at being in a relationship? Good question. Trying to think how deep I want to go on this one. I think I have a big guilt complex, and I've just got a bit of a bad track record of meeting lovely people, and I've never had a toxic relationship. Like, they've always been great people. And then I just haven't been able to give what was needed of me. And I just start, feeling that guilt, feeling like I'm wasting the time. And there's some things I need to work on. Like therapy is definitely something that is going to be on the cards to try and sort this out. But then also it's about where my focus and my priorities are at the moment, right? I'm quite lucky as a man. I don't have so much of a pressing time clock against me where I need to find a partner and settle down. And I have other goals that right now are far more important to me. So it's not really fair for me to then, take someone down the garden path just because I want the comfort and the benefits and the perks of being in a relationship when, my priorities are elsewhere. It's something that is on my to-do list to get better at in the future. And yeah, I mean that I do want to sort that out. From Simple Love Fiona, what do you do for a living? I'm a private wealth manager, and that means that I help clients that are either high net worth or have the potential to get there, or people that just generally need financial help, managing their investments, structuring their wealth for tax efficiency, particularly in moving between countries, because there are so many pitfalls that you can fall into, but there's also so many advantages that you can take advantage of as well when you move. So yeah, I work with clients to help them build and maintain their wealth in a nutshell. Calo Loco, do you have any plans visiting Phuket? You better visit Phuket. So I actually spent a couple of months in Phuket because I am very into mixed martial arts. And Phuket has got an incredible street full of MMA gyms, fitness bars, places where you can go and get smoothies, your fancy protein shakes, clean food. Can't remember the name of the street, but it was incredible. So I hired an apartment there for a couple of months and I was just training in one of the top gyms there for quite a while. I don't have any plans to go back anytime soon. From Kat Hennessy, are you getting more comfortable with the attention you get through social media? I think so. No, I'm sure I am. I remember at the start, I was so shy. I was so nervous about everything. I was doing Julia's head in, to be honest, because she would film me and oh, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm learning to just accept myself more and accept myself being put out there more as well. So for me, I think this is going to be such a good thing for my self-confidence and yeah, dealing with the attention as well. And parts of it are incredible, right? Like I can't deny it's been great for the ego. From Love Bao, what's your favorite sport? That's mixed martial arts. It's about the only thing I really follow avidly, but I do enjoy most sports. But the UFC is the thing that I keep up to date with. From Trey Welch 246, would you move back to the USA? I've never lived in the USA, so no. From so not saying I never would live there, by the way, just saying I wouldn't be moving back there. The USA could be on the cards in the future. Looking to build up some clients there, so we'll see. From Fairies04, how do you deal with all of the thirsty emails that you get? I'm sure it can be exhausting. So up until really recently, like in the last week, I just kept my head out of my DMs and just didn't read them. One, because I couldn't reply to everyone, and two, it was either really bad for the ego or just a weird place to be, right? But when I launched the podcast, I asked a lot of people for help. So I went through all of the messages and I realized like the people that are actually reaching out, most of them are incredible, really lovely people who were willing to give me their time, their feedback, and support me on this. And so many people's feedback has actually shaped what this podcast has become already. I'm already on the second episode. So really actually appreciating the feedback that I get. And the thirsty ones, again, I just feel a little bit guilty when I can't reply to them all or reciprocate, right? But maybe again, that's my guilt complex. From Sangui78, how tall are you? I am 6'2" or 188 centimeters. From Awesome Austin P, how do you feel about having a large following now? Good versus bad? Good that I've got more outreach and, I can help more people and having some great people reach out to me looking for financial advice now. So it's actually helping my career. Bad side, I don't know. I haven't come across any bad sides yet, but then I guess I haven't reached the point of notoriety where it's becoming a problem. From Alex Wongi, what color of cat do you like? My ex had the most gorgeous ginger cat and was a little hated him at times, but I miss him quite a lot as well. So I think ginger cats, orange cats, they've got a special place in my heart now. From Duchess Alexis, how do you find working in Malaysia compared to the UK? Where do you see yourself settling? Settling in Malaysia for the time being, unless anything drastically changes. This is where I'm planning on building my future for the time being. and it's very different from the UK. I think the UK at the moment is struggling a little bit on the whole. I think the cost of living crisis there is really affecting a lot of people. And I feel like Great Britain, has had its glory days that everyone looks back on and feels like the country has got a bit worse since then. And I know there are going to be outliers to this and probably some people who are going to have my head for saying it. But yeah, I feel like the general population isn't that optimistic for the future. Whereas in Malaysia, it's an emerging economy and everyone's attitude here is that tomorrow will be better than today. So it's a nice place to be and surround yourself with. Sophie McElhenney, Pepsi or Coke? Neither really, don't drink, but I would probably order Jack Daniels and Coke if I was going to have a drink. So I'd go with Coke on that one. From Buff BB, what are your top 3 life goals that you want to accomplish before you're 40? Good one. So I want to have financial independence. And what that means to me is if I, want to take 6 months, a year off work to just go do something else, then I'm not going to be in any issues and I will have recurring income that will cover my cost of living. And I also want to be in the position to support a family in the future if I choose to head down that route. So there's that. I have some gym goals as well that I want to achieve by 40, but I don't want to come across as a massive gym bro on here. So just lifting heavy things is another one of the goals. And third one, I guess, is to sort out some personal issues as well. Maybe some of the things I was mentioning there earlier. From Can XG, if you are not currently working what you do, then what would you have liked to work on? I would have loved to have tried going down a professional MMA route if I'd started a bit earlier. But I think it's such a savage industry, like the toll it takes on your body, your mental health, how hard you have to train. And also, if you don't make it to the pinnacle, the very top, then you're likely going to be struggling as well. So I think it's such a savage industry, but I would have liked to have given that a go. From www Lilac, how many languages do you speak? Only one fluently, but I can speak passable Spanish to order a pizza or a few beers or get around in a taxi. From Kaiten Gokakayu, what's your bench? At the moment, I'm doing 120 kilos for 8. I haven't tried 1 rep max, but I suspect it's probably around 135, 140. From Sweet and Sassy in Texas, what fact about yourself that the public has gotten wrong about you? I think, just going back to one of the previous answers, is that they project what they see on social media and assume that is my whole personality and my whole life, right? Like I see comments saying, oh, it's just nothing but green flags, and I'm riddled with red flags as well. So I think, it's just important to bear in mind that you only see a positive snapshot that someone chooses to post on social media. And again, from Sweet and Sassy in Texas, how many messages have you received in your DMs? I haven't counted them up, but I reckon probably over 10,000 since the start. And I think I replied to, almost 2,000 of those to help me with the start of this podcast. From Sela Halis, what made you get into your work and do you see yourself doing it forever? So I answered what made me get into this earlier on. So I'll answer do I see myself doing it forever? Yes. I plan on building relationships with clients. So it's not just a work client, you're trusted with this person or this family's whole wealth. And you obviously build a bond through that. There has to be massive elements of trust and you build friendships with all the clients that you keep. So I will always keep those relationships and keep helping those people. And for me, I would like to get to a point where the social media, the podcast is bringing people to me that I can help and then building a team under me that can help those people as well. So I think that's like the long-term goal, but I always want to be doing what I'm doing. I don't ever want to reach a point where, I'm telling my friends that I'm too busy to help them anymore. So I will always keep doing this. This is from Roxana Campus 11. Did you ever imagine all the social media on TikTok would be this huge? Never in my wildest dreams. When Juria said to me, this could go viral, I was like, shut up. No, it couldn't. To put this in like perspective, I've never been someone who I would say has been deemed really attractive. So when Juria said that she saw that and started posting it and other people started bombarding me with these compliments, it kind of felt like a big practical joke to start off with, to be honest. And I was just waiting for her to be like, hey, you got here. So yeah, never in my wildest dreams, and it's been quite hard to come to terms with. Any plans to visit the US from Zach Waymeyer? Yes, I'm planning on potentially doing a road trip there in the next couple of years, seeing some friends and potential future clients there as well. In India, Onlyfans, awkward Onlyfans is the best. No Onlyfans coming anytime soon. Once that genie's out of the bottle, there's no putting it back in, right? From Emma Stacey, ever been to Australia? Would you like to visit? Yes, I lived there for just over a year, about half of my time on the Gold Coast, half of my time in Melbourne, and then a few months traveling around in between. Love the country. No plans to visit back again anytime soon, though. From Oracle 3D, what do you want to be your legacy? That is such a good question. And I guess I haven't really thought that far ahead at the moment. But I want to be someone that, everyone recognized as a good guy who wanted to help people. And also, what's important to me is being successful. And obviously, everyone's definition of successful is their own. And I have mine. But yeah, I want to tick those three boxes. Be someone that got successful, not taking the easy way, and was a good guy. And he got gains. Any regrets in life? Yes. Maybe on a future Q&A, I'll talk through those. Favorite lift/muscle to train? I think deadlift is my strongest thing. Lift 210 kilos for 8 on that, just because it's my strongest thing. I think I enjoy that the most. But bench is the thing that most people care the most about. So I've got a special spot for bench, especially because I have a naturally very small chest, or I had no chest to start off with. My mates used to tease me for that. So it's something that I've put a lot of effort into trying to build. So I guess that one's probably got a special spot as well. From Georgie Grip, what days of the week do you consider odd and even? Is that even a question? Monday is odd, Tuesday is even. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From Vilal Tico, what's your take on gay fans? Just appreciate the compliments and the kind words from anyone. Not gay myself, but I have no problem with it at all. And yeah, appreciate everyone that's been following along and supporting. From Montserrat, would you like to visit Mexico? I have done. I got salmonella from an omelet, and it was a rough time. But yeah, I'd like to go back again and potentially stay healthy. From D. Kilsey, what is your best financial advice for a young person to set themselves up for success? To start saving and investing early. I think especially, at the beginning of your working career, it's hard to find that extra money, but put it as a part of your budget as soon as you can. If you can cover rent, your food, everything you need to get by, the next thing you should be allocating and prioritizing for is your savings and investments. And maybe after that is your weekend beer money or your fun money and so on. That's maybe the one piece of generic advice that you'll get out of me. From You Just in Time, were you always handsome? Awkward question to answer without sounding arrogant or egotistical on this one, because by answering it, I'm kind of accepting that I'm handsome now. As I was saying earlier, I never got this kind of attention growing up. As a teenager, I don't think I was ugly, but I was never an attractive one. And even as a young adult, I didn't get any kind of attention like this. I think a big thing is I've just kept at the gym for about 12 years and I've got myself into good shape. So I think that would be my advice to any guy that was looking to make themselves more attractive, is to just get in the best shape possible. And it's a long journey. The longer you stick at it, the more attractive you're going to be. Because, yeah, I'm 30 now and this is the first time I've ever had any kind of attention like this. From Shop Caller 23, you look like a cute, sleep-deprived fish. This is one of the reasons I usually keep my head out of the DMs. From Tups876, what's your 5-year plan? Financial independence, build a client bank that I will then keep for life, and also want to make this podcast a success as well. I'm going to give everything to that. From Venusaur88, were you always into fitness? I got into it pretty early on, around 17, but then I've had phases where I really let myself go. I look back on some photos of myself in my early 20s looking pretty fat and out of shape. So I think I've always been into it, but then there have been periods where I let it get out of hand. Can you cook? If yes, what is your signature dish? Burritos. Just cook loads of them, freeze them, eat them through the week. How's office life without Juria? Well, I get more work done, but I'm definitely a bit lonelier in the office as well. From Viper, recently got single after 2 years. How do you get used to it? It's just time and learning to be comfortable with yourself and self-sufficient. I think it's definitely the hardest at the beginning, and the last few months haven't been easy for me, but you learn to look after yourself again. From Koba Marika, how many days do you work out throughout a week? I aim for 5 in the gym and then a couple of days doing some other sports as well. I often don't meet that target and end up with 4 in the gym and maybe only 1 or 2 doing sports as well. From Serena Alvada, what has been the best advice your grandmother slash parents has ever given you? I'm so lucky on this front. Like, my grandmother is my best friend, and no matter what I've turned my hand to, she's been so supportive. And when she found out about the TikTok, she created a TikTok account. She's 87, for God's sake. Created a TikTok account and started commenting, nice things on there as well, which my mum then told me about. So yeah, she's an angel. My parents have always been super supportive in whatever I've wanted to do as well. To be honest, if I started an OnlyFans, they'd probably subscribe on there just to support me as well. They wouldn't watch the content, sure. From Interesting Life 76, what is your proudest moment? I think it's probably last week, actually, biting the bullet and getting the podcast launched, because it has been so anxiety inducing and stressful. It's something I've wanted to do for such a long time. So finally getting it done, yeah, that was a big relief. From Giovanni Uzo, do you know how to play the piano? And if so, can we have some content on it? Do I know how to play the piano? I can play one song that I taught myself over lockdown by copying someone on YouTube, Press the Keys. And it just happens to be my favorite song by Ludovico Einaudi. And because I wouldn't say a complicated song, but it sounds quite advanced. So when people hear me play it, they think, oh, wow, like he can play the piano, but it's purely just ingrained muscle memory on one song. I can't read music. And if you ask me to play something else, I'll be absolutely hopeless. From JS Willies, what is your skincare routine? I don't have one. I moisturize after I shave because I quite often get a shaving rash. And up until I met Juria, I was still using shower gel to wash my face. And when I told her this, she shouted at me and instructed me to go get some face wash. So definitely the wrong person to ask for that. From I Sing, could tell me how to get a job like you, talk about education, uni, internship, and all. Education, get some kind of business or finance degree. University, internship's a good idea if you can get a job straight out of university at a company that will pay for you to do your exams and qualifications and train you up on the way. Because I was quite old when I went into university and did that, companies weren't interested in taking me on with no experience and no qualifications in finance. So I had to go and put myself through them really quickly to make myself an appealing candidate. So it's about what you're willing to do to get your foot in the door. From Mary Holloman, are you close with your family? Yes, I FaceTime my nan every week on Sunday before I left for Malaysia. I had to teach her how to set FaceTime up so we could do it. And yeah, they're, as I say, super supportive, and I'm looking forward to getting back and visiting them. From youryoung.ko, what is your driving force of working out? Good question. I don't expect you're going to like the answer on this one, but it's definitely comes from a place of insecurity growing up and never being happy with my physique. So I just worked at it and worked at it, and that's kept me driving forward. And I would say overall now I'm at a place where I am happy with my physique, but it's always a moving target. And again, I always just feel like I need to be progressing towards it. And for me, I feel like less of a man if I'm not in shape. And I know I shouldn't attach so much value to that and how other people see me, but it's not just about that. It's about how I feel. If I feel big and strong, then I'm confident and I can tackle other things in life better. If I'm out of shape and I don't feel fit and healthy, then the rest of my life is more difficult. So it's about you choose your suffering. You either put yourself through the hard things to feel good and look good, or your suffering will be looking at yourself in the mirror and not liking what you see and feeling like. So I think it's running away from that that keeps me in the gym. From William 87, why growth game? For me, personal development or growth is a way to maybe not accept things that are shortcomings because they're works in progress that you're working towards, right? And it can be really healthy on that front to say, okay, I'm not that good at something yet, but I'm working on it and I'm going to be. On the other side of the coin, it could be used as an excuse not to love yourself as well, to think, oh, I'm still a work in progress. It's about finding that balance and having healthy growth and healthy development in your life. And yeah, life is about the journey, and it's just about feeling better as you go and feeling like you're improving for me. This one is from Michael. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that surname. How do you know when to take the pressure off and be happy? I do not know. When you find out, please tell me. From Alcaziz, what advice would you give to anyone looking to move to a new country? The scariest thing is just to pull the trigger and do it and get over there, see a new way of living, start a new journey. And I would recommend it to anyone to go and live somewhere new at one point in their lives. Okay, from Jesse Carr, how would you describe your self-esteem? Well, it's definitely improved since this TikTok thing, for better or for worse. I think, my ego has definitely been on a journey. But throughout my life, I think I've probably struggled with low self-esteem. But then that's a positive as well, because self-esteem and low self-esteem in particular can be a driving force to lead you on to great things. So I think that is what is happening for me, and feeling like maybe I've not been enough has driven me to want to achieve things so that I will be there in the future. So yeah, pros and cons to everything. So that is the end of another Growth Game podcast. And just want to say thank you so much again for the support. Filming the Q&A by myself. It wasn't the intention when I started this, but a lot of the feedback from the first one is they just wanted to know more about me as the host, and it would help them then be engaged with the podcast going forward. So we'll see what the reception is like to this one, and if it's well received, then potentially I'll do another Q&A in the future. But from this point out, I aim to bring on more guests as well to share more insights about their own personal development to help us all. So thanks so much again for the support. And if you would be so kind, could you please drop a follow or a subscription, depending on whatever platform that you're watching on? It would mean a lot to me to watch this podcast grow. So thank you so much again. I really appreciate you.